Have you ever heard of a hollow where sound plays tricks on the mind? A place where echoes carry not just reflection, but whispers of lost souls? You might want to think twice before venturing into a place like that. Tonight, I'm taking you on a journey into the legend of the Echoing Hollows, a place few dare go, and even fewer return from unscathed. Meet Emily, a skeptic by nature, an avid enthusiast of debunking supernatural claims. Young, bold, and armed with a recording device, she'd always believed that every ghost story had a rational explanation. The fateful evening began on a bet she made with her best friend, Joanna, who swore by stories she'd heard about the Echoing Hollows, a patch of forest reputed for its eerie echoes that didn't mimic sound, but rather responded. People claimed that what you said in that forest was answered by voices that weren't your own. Emily scoffed and challenged Joanna. "Let me go out there with my equipment. I'll prove it's just a weird acoustic effect." Joanna hesitated, but eventually agreed on one condition. Emily would have to go alone and stay for an hour. Determined to prove her point, Emily grabbed her flashlight, recorder, and notebook as she set out. As sunset bled into dusk, Emily reached the edge of the forest, its entrance marked by a weathered wooden sign reading, "Turn back or speak with the dead." The air was unnaturally still, the chirping of birds eerily absent, yet Emily felt excited rather than scared. This was an adventure she thought she could laugh about later. From her first step into those woods, it became apparent that this was no ordinary forest. The deeper she walked, the quieter it got. Her footsteps, although muffled by the soft earth, triggered echoes that sounded off. When Emily stopped, she noticed the echoes continued, as if someone kept walking after she had paused. She pulled out her recorder. Her voice was steady, confident. "Testing. 1, 2, 3. Is anyone out there?" The silence stretched, long enough for her to grin and dismiss it as superstition. Then it came, softly at first, like a breeze, a whisper, faint but unmistakable. "We hear you." Startled, Emily replayed her recording, wondering if it had captured the sound. To her horror and fascination, the faint whisper was there. The rational wrestler inside her urged her to consider that it was a prank. Maybe others lingered in these woods, playing tricks on newcomers. She called out again, this time defiantly. "Say that again. Prove you're real." The forest seemed to swell with tension, the air thickening as her words dissolved. Then, an unmistakable, disjointed echo replied, "You called us." The voice was sharp, grating, like metal scraping against stone. Panic nipped at Emily's resolve, but her curiosity burned brighter. As a trained skeptic, she had spent years searching for proof of the supernatural, yet dismissing every lead. But this defied immediate explanation. As Emily advanced deeper, the whispers grew louder, turning into fractured sentences pieced together from her own earlier utterances. "Say that. Prove. Called us." It was as though the forest was constructing a conversation she had never started. She stopped short in front of a jagged cliffside with a yawning hollow carved into its base. A dark, gaping maw that seemed to absorb all the surrounding light. Her instincts screamed for her to turn back, but the pull to investigate was stronger. "Are you inside?" Her voice cracked slightly as she aimed the flashlight. The beam illuminated small, dusty bones scattered across the hollow floor. "Animals," she whispered to herself. At least, she hoped so. The recorder in her pocket buzzed violently. Startled, she pulled it to her ear, only to hear her own voice played back. "Emily, Emily, come closer." Yet she hadn't uttered those words. Her grip on skepticism was beginning to wane. Still, she muttered aloud, If this is a prank, it's a good one. As she stepped closer, her flashlight flickered, casting long, distorted shadows that danced unnaturally across the walls. The hollow wasn't silent. It was alive. A low hum morphed into indistinct chatter as Emily's presence seemed to awaken something unseen yet palpable. Against her better judgment, she asked, "Who are you? What do you want?" Out of the cacophony came words, clear and deliberate. "Help us leave." Emily's skin prickled. This must have been an elaborate hoax, she told herself, as she backed away from the hollow walls. But here's the unnerving part. The echoes didn't fade. They grew louder, angry. Her retreating footsteps triggered sounds following her, only these were heavy and deliberate. Above her, the branches began swaying, as though a wind had picked up. But only within the hollow. The trees whispered, "Stay," in unison. Heart pounding, Emily broke into a run, ignoring the disjointed echoes unraveling behind her. "Can't leave. Stay. Stay." The hollow now emitted low wailing, as though the forest mourned her attempt to escape. Her flashlight failed altogether, plunging her into darkness. Blinded and terrified, Emily stumbled through the forest, falling and grazing her hands against jagged tree roots. Everywhere she turned, the voices encircled her, no longer whispering but screaming with rage. "Stay where you belong." Then, beneath the cacophony, a single voice, a child's, emerged, soft but hauntingly close to her ear. "They'll never let you leave." At that moment, Emily tripped on something solid. Her flashlight rolled nearby, briefly illuminating a pair of shoes. But there was nothing above them, nothing at all, just the faint impression of a figure, as though it had dissolved into the air. That was the last straw. Emily scrambled to her feet, heart thundering as she ran faster than she ever thought possible. She didn't look back, not even when the whispers morphed into animalistic growls, closing in on her like ravenous predators. When she finally broke free from the boundary of the forest, she collapsed on the roadside, gasping for breath. Joanna, worried and impatient, ran toward her. "What happened in there?" she asked. Eyes wild, Emily shook her head, but she was clutching her recorder as if it held the answer to what had transpired. She took Joanna's hand and replayed the recording in full. To both their horror, the majority was filled not with her voice, but with overlapping shrieks, voices speaking in languages she didn't understand, and bone-chilling pleas for help. But toward the end came 3 clear, final words. "You brought us." To this day, Emily doesn't speak of what happened in the echoing hollows. She deleted the audio file, though sometimes at night, when she's alone, she swears she can still faintly hear the whispers trailing her. Joanna believes her now, so much so that she refuses to set foot in any forest again. The echoing hollows remains legend, a chilling reminder why some places should remain unexplored. As for you, think twice when you hear an echo. Sometimes it's more than just sound bouncing back. What do you think Emily encountered? Ghosts? Something worse? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, the forest never forgets who trespasses. Sweet dreams.